time they shine your light in the sky, don't go to it. The bat is dead. Bury it. Consider this mercy.
Tell me. Do you bleed? You will.
And we're live doing a live stream reaction to Doc Ligot's webinar this today for AI for Lunch, episode 3 with AI tools, use cases, and business. So welcome to Qatar Hall 5s. Welcome to my channel, and we're sharing. That's it. Doc Ligot's video, and we'll start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And, yep. This was recorded at 12 p.m. today. You know, Doc has been doing this webinar for free, and
All right, welcome everyone
here we go.
to the people on Zoom. Just settle in. I'm surprised. It's Saturday and we have a smaller crowd. Baka yung iba hahabol over lunch.
Yeah,
So this is episode
me
3
too.
of AI for Lunch.
Humabol ako.
Today we're just gonna have fun with AI today. No? Although I prepared an agenda, I feel that for this episode, the best way to do it is to actually use AI on live stream. And for those who are in the audience, mamaya, if time allows, no, pag may mga special requests kayo, maybe we can do it live, no. I won't promise we'll be able to discuss everything though. I'm sure you all have pressing questions when it comes to the use of AI, especially generative AI. But the theme for today is how do we actually use AI? Because we already talked about the ethics of it, the existential problems, which will make a comeback probably in a future episode. We talked about effects on jobs. Actually, this is a little related to the jobs topic because I'm sure after today, especially if you haven't used AI as much before, you'll have ideas on how this could actually affect people's work. No? Alam pala si Dean Bocobo. Hi, Dean. Nice to see you. Sige, ano lang tayo dito, chill, no? Karstine, hi, good day. Hi, Jenny. Hi, Joriel. Hi, David. Teka lang, tingnan ko nga sa Facebook how many people are watching. No, just out of curiosity. 2 people. Okay, kung sino man kayo, thank you for watching. I'm sure dadami pa yan later. All right, sige, let's begin, no? So today's topic is AI tools, use cases, and business. We're doing it on a Saturday para it's more, it's more convenient, I hope. And hindi tayo occupied by the workday. Obviously, this will eat into your weekend. So apologies if you are foregoing some important weekend gimmick. But what can be more fun than AI, no? Sa totoo lang, to be honest.
Sa totoo
Sige,
lang,
so
what's more fun than AI?
for those of you who don't know me, in case, especially outside the Zoom, my name is Doc Ligot. I'm an entrepreneur, and well, basically everything I do now is related to AI, no? But I've actually been working in maybe close to 25 years, no, in data. So I started out in financial services, and then worked in IT. Then I started two companies. One was a fintech, and then the other was a consulting company, which is Cyrolytics. And then sometime, I don't know if I shared this before, sometime in 2019, we made the hard pivot into social impact. So I founded Data Ethics PH. I co-founded AAP, and then the COVID pandemic hit right about the time we won the NASA challenge. No, that's that photo on the upper right. For Project ADs, which I'm happy to just plug, was a finalist in the Geospatial Innovation Awards. So we got a high commendation, which I think is good enough for me, no, good enough for us. We continue to try to push the envelope in terms of the use of AI, particularly in public health. Basically, ibuhat ang bandera ng Pilipinas, no, as far as that's concerned.
Yep.
And the point there is, hopefully, we inspire others to do the same. So this series of webinars, completely free. And by the way, I added Creative Commons sa baba, no, in case you guys are wondering. You're free to reuse all of this material yourselves. If you want to share it
Thank you,
to
Doc.
schools, you share it
Yes.
to a broader audience. Mamaya, I'll have a call for anyone who wants parang a 1-hour briefing on AI. I just did one in Globe Telecom yesterday. It went very well because I think we need to spread awareness. So that's really the point of doing all of this. I call it AI for lunch because I have nothing better to call it. So it's over noontime. I want to really spur discussion about adopting AI. The interesting thing, especially from the last episode, I've noticed it's like all the hype around AI seems to be negative hype, which is weird. But in a way, it's also encouraging because in prior tech trends, like blockchain, metaverse, you name it, even data science, the hype was so positive. And then what normally happens after a lot of positive hype is there's a crash, meaning people get disappointed. So now AI starting out, the hype is negative. So baka it's the opposite. No? AI actually ends up being the legit technology of the fourth industrial revolution, which I also believe. I want to definitely address alarmist claims. So let's just be realistic about this, both good and bad. So we've talked a lot about the bad. Let's talk about the potential good naman. This is also an 18,000 feet view. So I've mixed material from references. I'll have links naman posted on the page. But definitely, this is mixed with my personal views. So just as a heads up. Dean, you want to mention something? I noticed you unmute. You wanna say something?
Yeah, I'm kind of new to the lunch thing.
Sige, welcome aboard.
Yeah, no,
So-
thanks. I well, Dom and I are recent acquaintances, but parang it's love at
Din
first
Duc.
sight,
Jacob.
So, ang love yan.
And I must say, our team from LaSalle did lose to him in the first NASA challenge that they won. So I gotta salute, salute the guy.
Hindi naman. Ano lang
It's
din.
been it's been a good relationship, and I'm hoping that especially now with AI, I'm just excited. Like you, Dom, Doc, I think this is wonderful, and I've been observing your hyperactivity in this area the last couple of months. I need to really salute it and appreciate you a lot. I think people don't realize how golden an opportunity it is that you're bringing to the table for our country. I mean, this is a chance for us to leapfrog past some of the problems that we've had, and I think a lot of people do appreciate you. I do, certainly. So I hope to help out, become part of your merry band here.
Sige, thanks, Dean. Looking
Make
forward
this
to it.
happen. So,
Actually, trivia lang, yung grupo ni Dean were also in the NASA Space App sa 2019. They had a proposal for smart cities, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know, baka pwede natin buhayin yan later, Dean, no? After all of this. I also see Agile Geek in the audience. Shout out. So yeah, I owe my
Doing
kasi I've been out of
shout-outs.
Facebook, konting digression lang, for 12 years because of privacy. And then recently, because of AI, I decided to come back to basically help spread the word. So I'm very thankful to people like ayan, si Agile Geek, si Kuya Dev, if he's out there watching. And they're really helping me spread the word. So sana kayo din, if you're on Facebook, mamaya I'll have a call out. Please share this stuff freely. It's also uploaded on YouTube. And then, believe it or not, nasa TikTok na rin ako. No? I'll see what I can do about that. All right, sige. So let's get to it. Normally, I do a little bit of data visualization on everyone who registered. It's also good, parang insight. No? So far, ito yung mga, there's a survey question. What area interests you the most? And not a surprise, chatbots is number one. But interestingly, task and workflow automation is second. For those who are interested in that, you might be in for a treat because some of the AI tools that I'll play with later have to do with tasks, particularly planning. No? Surprisingly, planning is although it's not number one here, planning is an area where chatbots can really bring a lot of value. And of course, the other parts here like monitoring, images, these are like the classical use cases for analytics. Basically, anything you can use analytics for, you can use AI for. In fact, those two are sometimes conflated. But mamaya I'll explain. Also, as a member of AAP, we've been discussing this internally. Ano ba yung difference between AI and analytics? And the emerging view, at least for me, is they're flip sides of the same thing. There are times when you use AI, there are times when you use analytics. So it'll be interesting to discuss that mamaya. I'll show you parang a shorthand on it. Sige, so the agenda, simple lang. We'll first spend the first few, maybe almost half an hour maybe or 20 minutes just doing prompting. Kasi I noticed people who are usually new to ChatGPT, they have a tendency to use it, I would say, in the wrong way.
Tools,
although wala naman right or wrong. Or maybe in a less reliable way, probably is the best way. So I wanted to maybe show you how I use ChatGPT and some similar tools, and then later see if you guys agree. No? And then I'll dive into some other tools other than ChatGPT. You might find them interesting. Mapapansin nyo when we discuss the other tools, they're actually just parang applications that sit on top of either ChatGPT or the base model of GPTs or the image generation tools. So ganyan ang I think if you zoom out, I think there are three areas of, I would say, development happening. Of course, the foundation level is where everyone's talking about, like GPT-3, GPT-4. Usually this is limited to kind of the companies who are monopolizing, quote unquote, the AI space. Yan sina DeepMind, OpenAI, Anthropic, Stability. The reason being, it takes a lot of infrastructure and which costs a lot, no? Especially if you're using cloud, to train these models. Meron naman mga smaller language models, but they're not as reliable, which you can probably do on a laptop. Pero for the foundation models, yung development niyan, these are really the big companies. So I wouldn't be keen to compete with them on that. I mean, I can't spend as much money as they can. Not even our big companies here, baka they might struggle. Although when I was in Globe yesterday, I told them, if there are companies that should be leading the charge dyan, it should be like people like Globe Telecom who have massive infrastructure. Pero yun, that's something to be discussed.
That's true.
The next level is the application level. So that's where ChatGPT sits. So GPT and ChatGPT are not the same thing. GPT is the foundation model. So ChatGPT is an application that allows you to talk to that model. And my APIs already provided by OpenAI and the other providers. You can now build basically programs on it. So all of the tools we'll see today are at this level, kind of using application. Then there's a higher level, which actually I think most people don't realize, where how do you use those applications? And hopefully after today, you'll walk away with at least some idea. I can't claim to be comprehensive about it, but I hope it forms parang a thought starter, no, in how these tools can be used. We'll start with some basics, like how do you really prompt these machines? And then later, you'll see how that was leveraged by other developers. Gumagawa na sila ng mga custom applications, which is also, in a way, a challenge to everyone here. If you're interested to start a business or interested to start, write some software on top of these applications, you'll find there's a huge opportunity. In fact, there are thousands of tools already. I myself I'm struggling to keep tabs on all of them. Fortunately, there are also tools that can help you keep track of them. So mamaya i-share ko yan. Sige, so let's get to it. Medyo prompting 101. By the way, feel free to follow along. Although it might get pretty fast kasi we wanna cover as much ground as possible. No? So first, a warning. So ChatGPT is not a search engine. Let's just be clear. Kasi most people kind of think of it that way. It's not a database. So if you were attending the last webinar, the way it works is it predicts the next word after a series of words. Yun yung ibig sabihin ng GPT. And so whatever ChatGPT spouts out, it may or may not be true. It's just statistically probable. In other words, it's a sentence that looks optically correct, but it could be factually wrong. So be very careful about it. That's why I'm hesitant to use ChatGPT like blindly, like you just ask it a question, unless it's a fairly common term. No, I think the key difference, although this is still a subject for research, is if you're asking the chatbot about a common noun, like what is the ozone layer? Most likely, it will tell you what the ozone layer is. Because ozone layer is kind of a common term. But if it's a proper noun, like who is Dean Bocobo, or more recently, who is Ben Tehanki. Actually, that's the best example. I don't know if you caught this on my social media. So see Dr. Tehanki, who's a good friend of mine, he's a mentor as well. He's a professor of business ethics sa LaSalle. He was attending an event. This is really a cautionary tale. And ang nangyari, of course, occupational hazard, Dr. Tehanki's CV is quite prolific lang naman. And the organizers were trying to be, from my understanding, were trying to be clever. So instead of using the actual CV that he gave, they asked ChatGPT for a shorter CV.
No.
Which I think is a mistake, no? Kasi they could have just given the PDF or the text of the CV as a prompt and asked ChatGPT to summarize it. Mas maganda sana yun. In fact, that's going to be one of our exercises. Pero instead, they just asked ChatGPT, please provide a 5-bullet profile for Dr. Tehanki. And as you might expect, it created a statistically probable but fake CV. And it was a huge embarrassment for Dr. Tehanki, obviously any academic who's particular about credentials. And ang problema dyan, there were thousands of people in that event, online and online. Pumalat na yon. And now they had to spend time rectifying that after the fact. And I think up to now, galit na galit pa rin si Dr. Tehanki. Although kaibigan niya yung the organizers. So I think that's the cautionary tale with these machines. No, let's not treat them like they were a data. They don't retrieve data like a database, or they don't get search results. They were trained on that data. Pero all of that data, I think another webinar we can do, not today, will be to dive into a bit of the technicalities, no, of how GPT works. Basically, all of that data has been compressed into a small data set, no, which they call embeddings. No? It's a vector data set. Very abstracted na yung data. And yung prompting is a way of parang telling, the algorithm, based on this sentence, can you decode that and add answers? So, which impressively, kayang gawin ng ChatGPT. That's actually the wonder of this technology. You compressed a whole, petabytes of data into a small data set, relatively small, like gigabytes na lang. And it can answer pretty much any question statistically. Pero when you want to be factual, that's where it fails. So just be careful about that. But with that preamble, let's just jump into what can we do with these machines. In case you were wondering, there are many competitors not to ChatGPT. I don't have all of them, but these are the top 5 chatbots that I may use from time to time. There's the ChatGPT in chatopenai.com. There's Google Bard. There's bing.com/chat, Bing Chat, which you need to use Microsoft Edge for. No? So if you want to use that. Hugging Chat is a more open version of ChatGPT. So Hugging Face is an open source nonprofit company. And if you are not a member yet, you should be. You can access many types of AI tools there. They let you access it for free, and you don't need to have any infrastructure. They don't charge you anything. Unlike sa ChatGPT, you have to be a member of ChatGPT, and nowadays it's getting harder to get a a subscription or a membership. And then if you want to use the professional version,
Hugging Faces.
you have to pay.
Cool.
But for
I
Hugging
use.
Face, completely free. You just need to use
I use
the
Hugging
login,
Face.
unique login. For the others, it's a mix, no? For Bard, we'll use all of them, mamaya. Parang
I'm trying
you
to.
need your Google account. Perplexity, you need to sign up. I like Perplexity because I think overall it's relatively the most reliable in terms of facts. I'll show you why, mamaya. But I still like ChatGPT. So probably Perplexity and ChatGPT for me are the kind of the best ones. Hugging Face next because of the lack of any constraints, no costs, no logins. And then yung Google Bard and Bing, unfortunately, I still find they come up with weird results from time to time. But they're getting better. So mamaya we'll do that. At the same time, there are also the image generation tools. There are a lot. Mamaya I'll show you a new one I found, which I found very reliable. The top of the pack, I think, is still Midjourney, which is you need to be on a Discord channel to use it. Then Stable Diffusion was one of the earliest to come out publicly. The first Stable Diffusion is basically a software that you download to your laptop, and you can run it from it. But I like that they also provided the web version, Stable Diffusion Web, which we'll use later. So you don't need to have any high-tech laptop to do it. Everything will be web-based. Stability AI also provided a paid upgrade to that, which is Dream Studio, which I think is about as good or almost as good as Midjourney. Mamaya makita nyo rin. And then DALL-E, which is by OpenAI, which is a paid service. I would put ironically, I would put it at the bottom. Sometimes the images they generate aren't as good. But I think the difference is learning from what happened to Stable Diffusion, which I discussed in the last episode. Stable Diffusion is being sued by Getty Images because of some of the copyrighted images that they included in their training data. While in DALL-E, that doesn't seem to be the case. So OpenAI already made sure to sanitize the data set. But as a result, the images aren't so good. So I think that's the trade-off. The nice images are often copyrighted. So I guess that's an ongoing discussion with the art community. Next episode, we'll talk about art. I'll delve into that. I don't know how it will be resolved, to be honest. It's really kind of a trade-off. If you want to get good results, you'll have to contend with licensing. So maybe it's something that can be resolved at the foundation level. Doon na sila makipag-away on the licenses para the users can be more free to come up with creative stuff. So, just be careful when you use proper names of artists, which can be part of a prompt, by the way. When we start surfing different types of prompts, you'll find that using a particular artist actually is part of the process. Whether the artist is dead or alive, siguro yung tanong. Like Van Gogh is a very popular prompt in many of these image generation tools. So yeah, between these two, dito muna tayo mag-practice, the chatbots and the image generators. I just want to show how I would use it. And some of the uses of this stuff is fairly mundane, you'll be surprised, but they can be useful. Okay, so let's dive into it. I'll just be freely switching right and left now. So one of the first and most popular uses internally, kahit kami dito sa Zerolytics, is just summarizing, plain text. You'll be surprised how how useful that is. So I'll use itong article ni Amy about Senator Amy Marcos as an example. Wait, let me drop that link here for the people in the Zoom. Give me a second to do it. So this is the article about Senator Marcos wants to hindi naman ban AI. She just wants parang an inquiry into the effects of AI on the BPO sector particularly. So she's worried about jobs. So I'll drop that here in the chat room. So yan yung article. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna summarize this article. I don't know how many of you actually do this already. So this is the article. IME seeks regulation of artificial intelligence in BPOs. And well, kung super tamad kayo, you don't want to read this anymore. You want to summarize it. So I'm just gonna open. Can you see my screen? Hopefully you can. So this is ChatGPT. Isa-isay natin. This is Google Bard. This is Perplexity. And then si Hugging Chat. Yun na lang muna, just to keep it simple. So, okay, so some tips. And I learned this from the if you remember I mentioned yung was that deep learning AI course ni Andrew Ng. Might as well drop that here. It's called Prompt Engineering for Developers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And even if you're not a developer, I recommend you take this because it shows you how you can effectively create prompts. And mamaya, there's actually a guide to prompts that I'll be sharing. So one of the tricks I learned is whenever you want ChatGPT or any chatbot to deal with text, external text, it's always good to put delimiters. So this is pretty normal for developers. So one of the most effective ones is the back apostrophe, because it's unlikely you're going to use it anywhere else. So you open it with 3 back apostrophes, you paste the text and you close it. And then you just say, okay, summarize the above text enclosed into 5 bullets, something like that. And you let the chatbot basically summarize it for you. This actually saves me a tons of time. Normally, I spend about an hour every morning reading up on news. Ngayon, I actually have a small application that I developed that basically just does this. I drop a piece of text and then yan na, 5 bullets. Now, sometimes if the article is pretty long, there's a chance that the bullets will miss it. No? But generally, if you're like reading news or summarizing social media, it's pretty useful. So I'm using the other chatbots to compare what they say. So sa ChatGPT, Senator Marcos has called for an inquiry. Marcos expressed concerns that AI development is outpacing comprehension. Okay, I didn't know that. BPO industry played a crucial role. A study by Oxford Economics and Cisco predicts that 1.1 million jobs. See, nahuli niya pati yung mga things that you would not normally read when you're speed reading. It's good to have a chatbot doing that for you. And then finally, Marcos emphasizes the need for upskilling. So see, she doesn't want to ban the AI. Umikot na rumor. All she wants is to see if we can upskill and train the workers and see if we can protect them from AI. No? Sabi ni Bard, ganun din pretty much. Senator Marcos called in inquiry, AI is developing faster. So may iba siyang facts na linabas. In 2020 to 2021, the BPO industry grew by 10%. Okay, and then cited a study, pero hindi na niya binanggit who created the study. ChatGPT said who. Perplexity I love because it gives you citations, no? Although they come from the internet. That's the thing, no? But I find this useful because when you're doing quick research, sometimes you don't have time to be Googling stuff right and left. So I like actually Bard also did that, although not here. But Perplexity will always give you like citations from the internet, and then you're free to check those those stories if they make sense. So see, our original article came from the Philippine News Agency, and then Perplexity gave me a citation from GMA. Pretty good. What about what happened to Hugging Chat? Nako, Hugging Chat seems to have hung. Okay, I'll have to reload that and see what I can do about that. Mukhang ayaw niya. Too much traffic. Please try again. That's the problem with Hugging Face.
Yes.
Since everyone is there, you may not be able to use it kasi nga it's free. Okay, so I don't know if you do that already. It sounds pretty mundane, but actually it's quite useful, no? Where you are basically summarizing lots of text. So I hope that works. You can specify how many bullets you want, or you can just leave it blank and it will figure out kind of the general number of bullets to summarize a text. But I always found that pretty useful. Okay, I'm sure many of you are already doing this, but not this. No? So this is a different type of summarization. We have a text here. This is the Amazon walkout. And I did the same thing, but I provided a guide, parang headings.
Okay.
And I just got kind of the basic 7 elements of story. What's the plot? What's the tone? What's the theme, etc. And this is actually a clue on how you can really efficiently use, chatbots like ChatGPT. Kasi the point is, if you don't use it as a search engine, but more as a logic engine, it becomes very, very powerful. So let's see how that works.
Question.
So here's the article. I'm going to drop this again on the Zoom for everyone. So Wired article. Amazon workers walk out over layoffs and broken climate promises. So I'm just going to copy this text again. Haba. Yan pa, nakatamad. Okay. The same technique, do the triple back apostrophe. And then my prompt was, I mean, don't worry if you don't get the prompt exactly as I wrote it. The bottom line here is you're giving the chatbot a framework. So I said, from the text above, spacing on Microsoft, provide a summary of the following: plot, tone, theme, setting, conflict. You can use any series of headings you want. So this is actually great for people who are doing business reports and you don't have time to summarize everything. So run that. I'll also try it on Bard, see if Bard can do it. And Perplexity, do that again. Yeah. Good luck. Hugging Chat, if you're alive. Oh, nabuhay siya.
All right.
Sige. So back to ChatGPT. So what happened? So ayan na. So what happened? Amazon corporate employees have staged a walkout. That's the plot. What's the tone? The tone of the text is critical and discontented. This is actually related to a classical analytics use case for sentiment analysis. So this is the sentiment. No? What's the theme? The theme explored in the text includes worker discontent, distrust in leadership, and the impact of corporate decisions on employees' lives. So kinuha na niya yung mga main ideas. What's the setting? Takes place in Seattle, where the Amazon headquarters is located. What's the conflict? The main conflicts are between Amazon's corporate employees and the company's management. Who are the characters? The text mentions several employees who participated in the walkout. And yung si Brad Glasser was the spokesperson. Finally, what's the point of view? The text is written from a third-person perspective, presenting the viewpoints and experiences of the employees involved in the walkout.
Okay.
So see, it sounds pretty mundane, but for me, this is one of the most reliable uses of these chatbots. You don't ask them directly parang items of fact. What you do is you give initial text, and there's another app that does this really, really better than what I'm doing now. And then it processes the text using its large language model, and then gives you information based on that text, which you're sure is correct, or at least you're sure where it came from. Auto si Bardo gave you the 5 bullets, and then additional details, and then meron siyang actually didn't really follow instructions kasi because
It's
the
too
number
long.
of text that I can paste in Bard is smaller than ChatGPT. So talagang bulok talaga si Bard. They need to improve it. What about Perplexity? I wonder if it worked. Wala. Nabobo siya. Still loading. Okay, finally in Hugging Chat. Oh, Hugging Chat did it as well. No? Plot, tone, theme, setting, pero kulang. No? Right. This is now how you can compare each chatbot with each other. So far, it's still ChatGPT who's the most reliable. It's able to get as much text as you paste on it, and then it can follow your instructions to the letter. And then if you're not happy, you can regenerate a response. For the other chatbots, it's either they're using an older model or their API is limited. Or maybe I need to upgrade.
Purposely,
maybe it's the number of tokens.
my,
Kasi this article was a little
password.
long. Sige.
So I'm not using
so far so good. ChatGPT 2 out of 2. Yung iba bokya na. Okay, next. I don't know how many times you need to count words. Actually, count anything. So this is a rather familiar poem. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Pero may sequel siya. He lands headfirst on a rotting maple log. Knocked unconscious, fox sleeps with shallow breath until lazy dog awakes and worries him to death. So actually, that's not the original poem. It was just a continuation by Jenny Lee. No? But I found this as a very helpful parang example of demonstrating yung word counting ability. Dropping the link on Zoom now. Of a chatbot. So sige, let's do that. So ito, quick brown fox. Copy this. Back to ChatGPT. And then my prompt is, from this text, count the words. So I also learned this from the prompt engineering course. No? You can ask a question and then you can define the result. So please return the result in the form of word colon count. So in a way, it's parang pseudo code or pseudo programming. So susundan niya yun. So how many times did the word dog appear? Dalawa. How many times did the word death appear? Isa. I have a question from Josh. How do we trigger a prompt to continue providing results? If it's actually, I think you can just ask it to continue. Let's see nga. Continue generating information. I wonder if that will work. Oh, see? Tinuloy niya. So you can literally just tell the GPT, kunyari naputol, please continue generating info. I think in the professional version, there's a button and nade-detect nila if the prompt was or the result was incomplete. So you can just use, basically tell these chatbots to just continue doing what they're doing. Or you can say, can you do it again? Can you do this again? But ano ba? Output the results as a table. Oh, yun, table na siya, which is HTML formatted, and then you can paste it on Excel and it will be easier. So, I mean, that's really the cool part about this, parang these technologies. They break down barriers in usage. Because can you imagine if you had to do this through programming? No? What a hassle, no? Something as simple as that. In fact, that's my next example. You can actually, for the developers out there, let's say you found a particular function pretty useful. You can say, can you rewrite the previous instruction in Python? And susulat niya yung Python code that will output that that output, and then you can test it. Sometimes pala the code doesn't work, so you have to test it. But I think for the most part, I think the accuracy of, or at least the accuracy of the code for me has been 9 out of 10. No, 10% of the time medyo may mintis. But if you're already a programmer, you would know where to fix it. So what if you're not a Pythonista? Maybe you're more of a web developer. So you say, sige, JavaScript na lang. So ganyan, no? So it comes up with JavaScript. Or maybe you're more of an old school developer like me, it's PHP, which is a programming language that refuses to die. I wonder if we can say assembly. No, sige, wag naman. Fortran. Yung mga lumang programmer dyan, Fortran. Nakuha niya pati Fortran. So, I mean, why is this a big deal? Well, as people are getting older, and the people who know these old programming languages, they're getting older. Some of them are dead. So there's really an opportunity for, I think, younger professionals to come in and start using these tools to translate them to newer technologies or technologies that are more current. So it's not just summarization and text manipulation. Although I found the summarization really powerful. You can bridge the gap between coding and non-coding. Actually, that's a point I wanted to make even in the first episode, is there's really parang a bias towards coders right now in AI. And that bias will soon fade away. Kasi ngayon, you don't need to be a programmer per se. You can still write code actually, but you're now assisted by ChatGPT. O sabi ni Josh, I just learned HTML and CSS in 2 weeks. Bagal naman. You could have learned it in 2 days. No, just kidding. Pero yun na nga eh. You learn by doing. Unlike the traditional way of learning how to program, you have to spend weeks, watch videos, maybe read some books. Ito, you literally do something in plain text or English and then ask the chatbot to rewrite it in code, and then you transfer it to your coding window and try to figure it out. Okay, so those are like 4 basic prompting techniques: rewriting code, counting words, summarizing with a framework, or summarizing in general, that are useful, no? And I think that takes care, at least for me, that takes care of 80% of the work I have to do na mano-man. And if you're even more enterprising, you can combine both. You can write code. Kunyari, like we have a small Python script that actually does all of these prompts.
I need to ask Doc if
so now kind of the underlying,
to
I would say, framework
people
at
like
the second level that I mentioned. There's the
programmers
foundation level. This is on the second level. How do you prompt these foundation models to come up with really cool output. So later, when we go through some of the AI tools that I found interesting, it's all just that. And if you can parang work that out in your mind, what kind of applications can you create or can you use these tools for? No, yun yung ano, yung importante. O, nakalagay dito, I asked ChatGPT to explain the code line by line. No? Actually, dun sa example, okay, before we go back there, where's that? Ine-explain na rin niya eh. Ato, see, meron na siyang comment. So for beginners, you know, it puts comments. For beginners, it's really useful. So you know, okay, so that's what this join command does, no? Or what about this counter command or this tabulate command? Yun na pala yun. These are the classes and the functions that are being used. Again, don't take it at face value. You have to audit it and check it. Pero I found that really, really good. Okay, so let's join naman the world of the image generators now. The cool thing that you need to realize is you can also ask ChatGPT to create prompts for you. No? So in this example, write me 4 prompts, pero isa lang yung ginamit ko. For Stable Diffusion, to create a background image for my website featuring a cat on a beach. And then funny enough, kasi nga there's so many ways to do prompts. And there's actually a website for that. I'll show it later. The way it wrote a prompt is, it's quite story-like, which is, it basically goes beyond what a normal person would do initially. Parang, maybe a normal prompt would be, give me a cat on a beach. Pero ito, sinulat talaga niya, imagine a serene beach scene with a playful cat. The cat is sitting on the warm sand, gazing out at the calm ocean. Talagang story siya. Create an image that captures the peacefulness of the beach and the playful nature of the cat. So, I'll paste that text literally here on the Zoom para you guys can try it out and let's see what happens now. So this is it. That's, imagine a serene beach scene with a playful cat. Sige. So I've got that prompt and let's just go to each of the image generators and see what happens. No? So saan ba? This is my Discord for Midjourney. So I don't know how many of you are already members. Unfortunately, Midjourney doesn't accept free customers anymore, so you have to pay. Pero mura lang naman, it's $10. And then the way you prompt Midjourney is you use the imagine command. Imagine. There are 2 commands kasi, imagine and blend. Yung imagine is a totally original image. Blend is you upload a photo of yourself or something else, and then you can ask Midjourney to edit it and transform it into something. So I'm just going to put that there. Let's see if that works. So, yan, sending command. While that's waiting, let's look for other, see, Stable Diffusion Playground. StableDiffusionWeb.com. So, lalagay ko rin siya dyan. Let's compare all of them. See, Dream Studio na rin. Where's that? Dream Studio, beta.dreamstudio.ai. So, I'm just gonna put that here. Yan. Dream. Unless wala na akong pera. Ayan. Wala na akong pera. Ganon din si Dream Studio, you're supposed to pay. DALL-E na rin. Let's do DALL-E. Put that there. And then there's a 4th one later that a 5th one later that I'll show you. Ayan, sige. So did Midjourney finish? Ah, there it is. There's my cat. Oo nga, no? Sabi ko naman it's a background image for my website. Pero mukhang ginawa niyang parang painting of a cat ang labas, no? Kasi I didn't specify naman what kind of work. I could always have said, do it in watercolor, do it in 3D, do it as Van Gogh, Stable Diffusion. Ito medyo may mga weird cats. Medyo wangi yung kanilang mga mata. But otherwise, it's pretty decent. So this is like pseudo photographic. You can specify pa nga in the prompt, like use Fuji camera, this brand, this lens. I mean, if you're a photography buff, you can put that in. What about Dream Studio? Dream Studio, medyo cartoony. I like this.
Dream.ai to create
nice. What about DALL-E?
Drawings.
DALL-E did not load. Ayan na. It's now loading.
Which is fun.
Mala Stable Diffusion din siya. Pseudo-photographic, although it looks weird.
But there's still
medyo garbled.
Free items.
But you can always do variations, no? Although I don't know if I still have credits. No?
I think I use those photos
that prompt
made from AI.
was generated by ChatGPT. No?
For
What
my
if I do another prompt completely,
podcast.
completely blind, no? Okay. Write me a prompt for Midjourney na lang. Midjourney of a realistic cyberpunk scene featuring traditional Filipino outfits. Tingnan natin yan. Traditional
Okay, let's see.
Filipino
Cyberpunk
outfits.
using traditional
Cyberpunk
Filipino
traditional
outfits.
Filipino. Oh,
This is gonna be good.
Let's see if this works.
Let's see.
Ang haba naman ng prompt niya. Anyway, sige, let's see. Weird minsan eh. Actually, I don't know if you're familiar with how they created, image generation tools like Midjourney. No? Well, it's based on a technology called diffusion modeling, where you get an image, you turn it into a very fuzzy image, and then that's the encoding, and then you have a decoder that converts that fuzzy image back into the original image. And then depending on your prompts, it will blend multiple other fuzzy images para pag bumalik siya into the high definition image, it's a combination na. It's a really cool it's a really cool method. Now, how did they know the prompts? They actually use two types of AI. There's an AI, I think that was developed by OpenAI, that was trained to label images.
Mhm.
And then there's another AI naman that they developed to convert that label into an image. And then they ran those two models again and again and again. Parang they played against them, parang adversarial process. So that the prompts now become so accurate. So sige, let's try Midjourney, see if it will accept this. No? Imagine that. Try na rin natin si Stable Diffusion Web. And then si Dream Studio. Ang galing, oh. Love that cat. I don't know if all that text will be accepted. And then si DALL-E. Hello. Yan. I hope you're having fun, no? Following along. If not, ito, tinanggap talaga niya. So let's see what happens. So you see if you're in the Midjourney Discord, you can see it's iterating on first the fuzzy image, and then it makes it more high definition, more high definition, more high definition until you get the final. Oh, nakuha niya pati yung barongs and kimonas as part of the prompt. Okay, look at this. Well, that does look like sort of a barong, pero wala namang ibang traditional Filipino outfit. And then, yeah, I guess they look sort of Filipino Chinese maybe, or Filipino Japanese. But I love the background. The background's all neon. Cyberpunk na, di ba? Wonder what the other generators did. Oh, this one looks, although medyo weird yung images. This could be album covers. Stable diffusion. Actually, you have advanced options on the web. You can play around with the settings and see what happens. Dream Studio. This one looks even cleaner and cooler, no? Look at that. Pwedeng album cover. DALL-E. Hello. So you see, iba-iba yung iba-iba yung approach. This one looks interesting. The question now is, sino kaya yung artist na rinip off nila to do this? It's always at the back of my mind. I have a question from Josh. Does GPT get info and store data that we feed on it as part of its training set? Okay, actually that's one of the questions that will emerge later. From what I understand, go back to that. Anything that's still here is live on their server. Whether they use that to train or not, I'm not sure. My guess is hindi. But in terms of the information, it's stored. And then you can actually now delete a past chat you've done. Or even better, you can share that chat. So this actually allows you to collaborate with others. Now, ito yung conversation I had with ChatGPT. Here's the link. And then another person will convert that into their own chat. And it will get longer. Okay, sige. What time is it? We spent about 45 minutes on that, but I think that was fun. Sige, so, okay, knowing that, what are the examples of tools that have been generated on that process? The reason why I went through that in some detail, apart from demonstrating it, is so you kind of have an idea of how people are now building applications. Kasi the base application is just the chatbot or the image generator. You can build another application on top of that using APIs, and then it gets interesting. First, syempre, what I did was not a comprehensive list of prompts. You might want to check out promptingguide.ai. Just check it out. It's got an overview of best practices in terms of prompting. So I think I have it here. Where's that? Just type it na lang. Prompting guide. Yeah, prompting guide AI. Yeah, no? So it tells you how large language models works, some techniques, zero shot, few shot. They try to be technical about it. I wouldn't be too caught up in the terms, like, should I do a few shot prompt or a zero shot prompt? I'd be more particular about the kind of the thought process. Like, for example, itong automatic reasoning and tool use. And they have research papers very recently done on some of these. Given a new task, it selects demonstrations of multi-step reasoning and tool from a task library. So, gagawa ka ngayon ng task library, and then you run that process. For me, it's similar lang to that framework approach where you already execute that. O si Karstine, ano to? May image generation si Bing. Yun. Ano to? Bing.com/create. Yan, mamaya, when I'm on my Edge browser, I'll use that. Ano pa? Itong reaction prompting, meron din. So you have a thought process. Basically, you spell out examples of the reaction. And then yung last prompt mo is, now given all of the above, please react to this. So in a way, this is known as fine-tuning a language model. So by already providing a framework, you are fine-tuning the model. So have fun with that. In addition to the deep learning AI course, it's just one of the basics I would go through. There's this cool website called Why Try AI. It's really more of a blog, but I like looking at it. Saan ba yun? Why Try AI? Why Try AI? Yeah, kasi it's got tips, especially if you're into Midjourney and image generation. You can, best Midjourney prompts. And it gives you parang tips already on how to prompt Midjourney. So yeah, Exploded, it creates these types of prompts. Something as someone, Pac-Man as a giant monster, Harry Potter as a Marvel villain. Ito maganda tong gawin with the blend command. Upload your photo and then you say this photo as a super villain, and then it could be a new profile photo for you. Intangible concept. So anxiety. Just type the word anxiety, see what happens. Or joy, or wisdom, or symmetrical.
Okay.
Flat icon design.
Pizza.
One of my favorite ones is saan ba yun?
Mona Lisa.
Isometric. Yan. Isometric is nice. No? It becomes like a tile in a game. And wala lang, it's just a cool illustration.
All of a sudden.
You can use.
So
this thing keeps getting updated as we go along. It started in December 2022 and now they're at June 2023. Padami ng padami. So they just keep adding. In addition to that, you can also check out Stable Diffusion Web for prompts. So I like that parang function. Sana si Stable Diffusion. Ito. So this Stable Diffusion, if you go up here, merong search prompts.
okay.
And then you can just search a word that you like, kunyari goth, and see what other prompts come out that involve some sort of goth. And then you can do your variation of those prompts. Then mo to see Scarlett Johansson apat yung kamay. That's the effect of sometimes mga distortions ito yung hallucinations of the image generation tools naman. But however, it might actually be a cool artwork. So this is the word goth. And then you can try it, portrait photo of a young sexy Scarlett Johansson. Yan, gawa nga tayo. And then see what happens. Ayan na naman. Due to the number of users, the server may experience problems. So, pag ganyan, just keep reloading. Ayan, there you go. So, I'm now using an existing prompt that I found on the prompt database in Stable Diffusion. And by the way, if you're also quite happy about your work and you want to share it, you can just click this. Oh, yeah. You can click this, and now this becomes a prompt that can be searched on the prompt database. So that's really cool. Okay, Crayon. Ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo. This is another AI image generation tool that Crayon with an I, no? Crayon.com. It's free. It also has a paid version, pero the free is pretty good. I wonder kung mahuli niya si Scarlett Johansson. This one takes a little bit more time than the others, so I don't know if it's being more deliberate about the outcome or it's using an older model. So ano to? Gothic fashion outfit, Rembrandt lighting. Sige, let's let it run and I'll come back to that later. Consensus. If you're into research or looking at papers, I recommend checking out Consensus. So Consensus is like a ChatGPT, but for research. Meaning it will look for research papers. For example, satellite data predicting dengue outbreaks. Alam na natin yan.
Consensus.
Social media. Yan. So you search for that, and it will come up with relatively recent literature. No? So this is not different from, I guess, searching yung mga databases ng mga Science Direct or all these journals. But the nice thing here is the results are pretty good. I actually got this recommendation from an academic, no? And one of the big challenges of academics is they can't publish fast enough. So I found that meron na rin palang AI for them. So Consensus is there. Chat PDF. I don't know if you've tried this. I recommended this on my social channels quite recently. Let's create a totally new one sa incognito para fresh. No? So what Chat PDF does is it allows you to converse with your PDF. No? So I'm gonna upload a PDF. Ano ba to? Ito, paborito ko si Desiderata. Pero wait, I think I think this has great applications in HR, no? So you have a resume. Kunyari ito, resume ko. I'm gonna upload it. So now it knows my resume. So I would then interrogate my this resume using Chat PDF, no? And it even suggests a profile already, no? Binigyan ka na ng profile. So I'll say, what are good interview questions for Dominic? When interviewing Dominic Ligot, it would be beneficial to ask questions that delve into his expertise, especially in data, analytics, ethics, and social impact. Oh, kilala ako. So ayan, can you tell us about a specific project where you applied your skills in analytics and ethics to achieve a positive social impact? Oh man, I might flunk some of these questions. So, but anyway, the whole point here is a really good way of getting like vetted information, like coming from a PDF and then interrogating it, which is also good for research. So as I said, this is probably a more advanced version nung kanina, yung just pasting the text on the chatbot. Syempre, you can still do that. Pero here, you might want to upload like a PDF document. Or if you're reviewing, kunyari, you got some papers from Consensus and you don't have time to read all of them, upload them here and start asking. And that can already help you generate literature review for it. Pero ito, sa HR, this I think is fantastic kasi rather than creating generic questions, you can come up with pretty specific questions for a candidate. Or how would you ask Dominic about his strengths and weaknesses? Remember, it's using a large language model, so kumbaga, it's actually using its logic engine, considering yung text na binigay mo. Here are some ways to ask Dominic. Strengths. What would you say are your key strengths and contributed to your success in the field of data and AI? Kung weaknesses naman, in your journey as a professional, have you encountered any areas where you feel you could have improved? So, na siya, tailored fit to the profile of the person.
So, user friend.
Yan, that's Chat PDF. Dime a Dozen. No? This is an interesting app. More on more on planning. No?
Mm-hmm.
So si Dime a Dozen, I think I already have one here ready na. It's for those who are preparing proposals, no? So ito, dime a dozen. So describe your business. ADs is a risk management service, type ka natin, that generates risk reports on public health using satellite data, social media, and government statistics, and weather data. Yan. It generates forecasts of dengue and predicts hotspots for mosquitoes. Yan.
Mhm.
So what if we wanted to turn ADs into a startup, which is incidentally happening now? No? So magtatanong siya ngayon ng second question. No? How do you plan to monetize this service? This service can be monetized via grants or local government subscription or one-time consulting fees. Wala lang, just out of curiosity. Next, last question. Oh, may email. Ako, hinihingi na yung email ko.
Okay.
Researching. How will ADs acquire and analyze the necessary data? Through open data, subscriptions, and government statistics. Yan. Bigay ko yung email ko. Dominic@gmail.com. Generate report. Actually, there are many parang AI that are like this, where they're helping you generate mga reports na, no?
Mhm.
So, no? It gives you your business overview, viability. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily take it at face value. Syempre, it's something you should generate. But imagine if you were looking to pitch to an investor, it has a lot of info already. Market size, revenue potential, galing, no? Pati yung mga statistics. I have to double check this, no? According to a report by Grandview, the global risk management market size was valued at $12 billion. Okay? Wouldn't mind getting some of that. Business overview. This is the problem. Let's zoom in. No? This is the solution. Oh, pati nga, our eureka moment. So pag nakita niyo I post something that uses our eureka moment, alam niyo na kung saan galing yun. No? Business model, team, financials, monetization strategy. Sige, hanggang dito, it's free. Beyond that, you pay what, $39?
Okay.
Which in the grand scheme of things isn't
How
really
much?
that expensive compared to hiring a business analyst to write all of this down. So that's dime a dozen. And actually, there are many parang AI that are like this. No? Another one is Venture AI, Ventures AI. Ito naman, similar to dime a dozen, it's also a business strategy thing. No? I won't generate that from scratch anymore. I'll just show you the output. So ganyan, we have a service that generates risk reports from dengue. We generate these from social listening, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And then ito na yung idea. Industry insight, SWOT analysis, may pestel pa siyang nalalaman, target audience. And this is from like a 2 or 3 sentence prompt. Inisip na niya, okay, ito siguro yung gusto mong gawin. So if you're a business analyst or a desk analyst, you can now use this parang outline and fill in the blanks. Imagine how much
So
what you call this
technically,
productivity
AI tools
you
or
could generate. No? Meron pang
some
5 forces
use-
analysis si Porter. That's a pretty cool, And this is the free version, no?
Mhm. Yeah. The
Yung
free
ko na narinig
version.
to, CATWO analysis. Customers, actions, transformation, worldview, owner, environment. And then there is the paid version. You can have more details like unique selling point, go-to-market strategy, financial analysis. They even recommend books. So data-driven healthcare, public health informatics. Okay. So if you're really like a business owner or a business head and you want to get deeper, like you're like sitting in a new job and it's a slightly different industry from what you remember, you already have an AI assistant that can come up with something. Okay. Next, Learning Studio AI. This is for teachers and basically anyone who wants to do training. No. So what is it? LearningstudioAI.com. It basically creates a totally original training course based on a prompt. Learning Studio. Yeah. So kunyari, gawa tayo ng course. Enter the subject that you want to do. How to navigate online dating and relationships. Gawa tayo ng course. We're creating your course. Why not grab a coffee? Takes 90 seconds. Sige, while we're waiting for that, balikan natin si Crayon. Ayan, look at that Scarlett Johansson treatment, no? I would say that's above average. Medyo duling-duling lang siya in some of the takes. Sinabi naman natin, young Scarlett Johansson, latex gothic fashion outfit, Rembrandt lighting. Oh, okay, oh. Medyo ano lang sa dito, banlag. But otherwise, I wouldn't mind using this for some artwork. Ang tanong lang is Scarlett Johansson's face copyrighted? Yan siguro ang magandang tanong. Okay, balikan natin si Learning Studio AI. No? The last example, and by the way, we're already at the hour, so hopefully you're still sticking around. Sabado naman. Si God Mode. Ano tong God Mode? So there is a GPT called Auto GPT that was created. Basically, it's a GPT that prompts itself, but you have to download it, no, from GitHub. Si God Mode, somebody decided to just host it. You can do it online, no? So, punta natin si God Mode. So kay God Mode, ano bang difference nito nung AI na to? This is an AI that it does already what you want it to do. So sabi ko, I have a design thinking program. I want to launch an online marketing campaign for it to attract participants. And then sinasagot na niya na, okay, before determining next command, I need to understand the target audience. And then, can I Google that audience? And then you can just approve the plan, no? Okay, approve. Okay, Google it. Intindihin na niya kung sino yung pwedeng target audience for like this training that I want to launch. No? And sunod-sunod na siya. Or you can give it like a series of commands and then gagawin na niya. So for me, this is both simultaneously impressive and really disturbing. Kasi literally, independent AI na siya. So sabi niya, based on the Google results, I can see identifying the target audience involves analyzing data, blah, blah, blah. I need to organize my thoughts. Okay? So ito na yung commands, no? You can actually create this parang series of commands on a YAML file, upload it, and gagawin na niya. Sige, approve that plan. Ayoko lang masyadong paglaruan because I don't know how far it will go. Kasi nga, ito nga yung sinasabi nilang danger of AI. Kasi if you give it permission to do everything, baka mamaya it might end up applying for, I don't know, a
World
gun
domination.
license, no? And start buying guns online. Mga ganyan eh. Ito yung pinakita nila on a YouTube video where the chatbot basically created another chatbot that ordered pizza. That was an interesting demo. So yeah, no? So if you want to play with really kind of as close as it gets, no, to, I wouldn't call it AGI yet, but independent AI that comes up with its own original ideas to do something just based on a general command, that's where you go. And then one more. So what if you don't know if there's an AI for something? Well, there's actually an AI that will find you other AI. It's called There's an AI for That. And magandang pangsagot to dun sa mga ibang tanong kanina that came in through the registration. No? So asa na siya? There's an AI for that. Yan. So what if I wanted to find an AI for dating and relationships? Just to be consistent dun sa request natin kanina. Oh my gosh, ang dami, oh. Loveliness, Deeper, Keeper, Dates AI, Flame AI, ang dami, oh.
That is so plain.
I think as of now, there are, how many? At least 5,000 yata? Hindi. Ayan, 5,000 AIs for 1,467 tasks. And the tasks are really amazing. Use an AI to create a website, use an AI to do this, to do that. So just dive in, no? Balik tayo dun sa learning course natin. Yeah. This one. Navigating online dating and relationships. Master the art of online dating and build successful relationships in the digital age. Oh. Overview. This is the course. Oh, step 1, creating an attractive online profile. Oh, choose the right photos, crafting a bio, blah, blah, blah. Next, effective communication and building connections. Tama naman. If you want to do dating, you have to learn how to talk. So the art of conversation, online etiquette, blah, blah, blah. Finally, navigating challenges and maintaining healthy relationships. Wow, I might need to take that course. Red flags and deal breakers, managing distance relationships, online and offline interactions. And ang masaya dyan, there's a quiz. You can take a quiz on relationships. Ayan, no? What is an essential element to consider when choosing photos for your online dating profile? Oh,
Okay.
Diba? We just waited 90 seconds and you now have an online course which you can now monetize or upload into Coursera if you want. Or you can start your own learning management system on dating. Congratulations on completing this course. So this is the question, eh? Diba? One of the questions that was asked to me is how will the education sector deal with AI? Well, lesson plans are already here. Now, of course, you don't take all of this lock, stock, and barrel pa rin. As I mentioned, kasi we just did a blind prompt. You have to verify if all of this information is accurate, your knowledge. But can you imagine the amount of time you save, no, with all of this stuff? Really, really mind-blowing. Okay. Sige, so we have about a few minutes left, although we can always extend. I want to kind of put everyone's brain, no, in the right places. You've seen all of the power of these applications. You've seen what's possible. Actually, we haven't even scratched the surface. I just gave you a few things to play with.
This is just
How do you use this
scratching the
stuff?
surface.
So when you Google use cases, that's how they refer to it. Kanya-kanyang banat yan by each analyst. And the first thing I want to, I think, encourage is don't rely on the analysts too much, mga industry analysts like Gartner, because they're guessing just as much as you and I are. I would encourage you guys to prospect on your own. What kind of use cases are available? So let's start step by step now in terms of the thought process. First is let's be very deliberate na and differentiate builder and user. Kasi nga for the longest time, people who have been using AI are the builders, data scientists, engineers, academics. They're the ones who know the math. They're the ones who know the code. They will still be in demand. Don't worry if that's one of you. But you now need to think of how do I build better applications for the users? And then the user naman, on the right-hand side, these are people who don't necessarily need to know the math or the programming, although it doesn't hurt if you do. But it's more about thinking and speculating about how would you use these kinds of tools to make your life more efficient and, more importantly, make it impactful. So impact talaga nakakatalo. I mean, impact is the most important part. So in Zerolytics, we actually have a 4-box framework now, which I'm happy to share. On anytime we meet a client, what are the 4 things in our mind? Number 1, does the client already know what they want? So brainstorming is a massive opportunity. So I showed you earlier, Dime a Dozen, Ventures AI, even just speculating on the plot and the theme of a particular story. That's actually useful at Brainstorm already. Does it tell you what? In any corporate environment, people are probably operating at maybe 30% of their capacity. Because most of the time, they're dealing with admin, they're dealing with office politics. So the ability to brainstorm effectively. Kaya nga pag mga planning session, normally, you bring them out of the office. Because if they're in the office, their brains get locked. But with the power of AI, you could shortcut that. So even if you're doing your day-to-day stuff, you have AI on the right-hand side generating ideas for you. Then you do research. So you have apps like Consensus, these search engines. You can now research how many ways has this problem been researched before, and then see if you can either adopt it or do something completely new. But the rubber hits the road with the action plan. Yeah, you have God mode, and other apps. Even ChatGPT can give you an action plan. What interventions do we need to do? Because we now know what idea we want to solve. We now have research. What's the action plan? Maybe the action plan is create a training course to educate our staff about blah, blah, blah. And then you have a Learning Studio application that can create that learning course for you. And then you launch the training course and then you monitor, and this doesn't necessarily need AI anymore. You just count how many people sign up, how many people completed the course, how many people are putting the course into action. And then you go back to the original idea.
That's a good usage of case.
It's literally that straightforward. But, I have to say, if you're in an office, or if you're doing day-to-day, it's hard to compartmentalize your brain. That's why AI for me is that other brain. In the same way na, in neuroscience, hiwalay yung decision-making ng brain dun sa knowledge. The neocortex does the knowledge part. But if you're always just using the neocortex, yung analysis paralysis is the problem. That's why it happens, because that part of your brain that does the knowledge part, the analysis, the logic, it doesn't make decisions. The decision is still the more primitive limbic system. And yon, that just takes instinct and emotion. So irrespective of what the neocortex knows or does not know, it will make decisions. Kaya nga, you don't even need to know everything to make a decision. And then on the opposite side, you have people who know quite a lot of things, but they can't decide. That actually also is a clue of how we probably could manage AI safety. Kasi nga, we're all afraid that these AI will be more intelligent than humans and start killing humans. We have to always remember, even humans don't combine
must-
knowledge and
we must,
decision making in
work
one bucket.
On
Hiwalay yun.
AI,
So
decide
it is
cost.
theoretically feasible, I mean, as a concept, to create very intelligent AI, but not empower it to kill us. Hiwalay yung decision-making ability. Kaya even dun sa God mode, it asks your permission, which I found useful. So where would AI really come in talaga? No? And I'm finding this shorthand quite useful. I talked about this in the jobs episode. In any task or mission you have, try to see if you can measure the uncertainty and the complexity. Uncertainty means, is it obvious what you need to do? Kasi pwede namang it's not obvious. Sometimes you don't know what to do. So that's high uncertainty. If you know what to do, then that's low uncertainty. That's a certain task. Then complexity is how much information do you need to consider before you come to a decision. So if it's small lang, low. If it's a lot, then it's high. So if it's a low complexity and a relatively certain outcome, automation talaga yan. Automated. Kasi nga, you only need to consider a few inputs and it's only one of maybe 3 options that you need to decide on. AI can do that already. On the other hand, even if you have a small amount of information, but you don't know what the actions are, then certainly you still need humans in that decision. Because humans have experience, instinct, so don't hesitate to give it to humans. The problem is we're also giving this low-level task to humans. This is hard, no? It's a waste. I think it's a waste of humanity. Like my favorite example to hit on is the elevator person. Sa makita mo sa mall, taga-pindot lang siya ng button. I mean, literally, one decision variable lang siya and one output.
The elevator
Bakit tao
person.
pa yung gumagawa nun?
True.
Because it's a job, right? Those are the jobs that are at risk. Yung mga low complexity and low uncertainty. Sorry. Now the fun part. What if it's a high complexity?
Mm-hmm. Bless you, Doc.
Give me a second, I'll just get water.
I have to get water, Doc.
Okay, better. If it's a high complexity task, but the outcome is still kind of straightforward, that's where analytics really thrives now. For example, assessing a borrower for creditworthiness. Perfect use case for kunyari credit scoring. In some banks, it's an automatic decision. In other banks, there's a credit score and then an analyst makes the call. No? So yeah, that's a good task. But here's I think where the contention is, what if it's a high uncertainty and high complexity job? And right now, humans are doing that, using analytics then, but they're very inefficient. I think this is where you should let the AI run loose, but then you establish guardrails. An example of this that I mentioned before is yung AlphaFold, if you remember that, no? Yung drug discovery. If you let humans do the protein folding speculation, it's going to take forever, even if you have machine learning. So what DeepMind did, they created AlphaFold, which is a reinforcement learning algorithm. It's the algorithm they use to create AlphaGo in mga chess AI. And those machine learning algorithms are capable of exploring parang a decision space, they call it, far more efficiently than humans. Like si AlphaGo, the AI that beat Lee Sedol, it didn't learn Go from watching old Go games. What it did was it played against itself. So it was capable of training itself, no, in playing Go. And after a certain level, it got better than humans na. So, kumbaga, super intelligent na siya in that particular task. So it is possible to create artificial superintelligence in a narrow domain. No? I think the mission kasi of Google DeepMind and these other companies is they want to create a general AI that's smarter than humans in a broad series of domains. And if you saw all of the applications we were playing with earlier, it's getting there, no? But we should not be scared because decision making is still left to humans. I think the problem arises when you automate decisions. So actually, parang thinking about AI safety, it's actually automation safety that's the problem. Kasi you can automate a stupid thing and it will efficiently do stupid things. No, you don't even need AI for that. That can be unsafe. But if you have AI and you automate it and you don't equip it with guardrails, and that's where the alignment problem comes in. No? It's hard to kind of address that. So, sige, this is AI, this is analytics, etc. What about use cases naman? One approach I would recommend is if you're speculating on where AI can play a role, decide what kinds of AI you want to kumbaga, look at. Because AI is a broad series of things. For example, this is a common shorthand that we use when we run workshops. No? Think of 4 areas of practice. And the easiest 4 are obviously data analytics, computer vision, language processing, and automation. These are 4, I would say 95% of potentially any AI activity, itong 4 na to. There could be some niche cases, of course. No? Or maybe there are combinations. Like yung, I don't know what it was, Google Lens ata, where you take a photo of an image with text on it, and then it will automatically translate the words in the text. So that's a combination of computer vision and natural language processing. Okay, so you got this, technology-wise. No? Now, you need a way of, you need a taxonomy of business challenges. Marami yan. You can just, get any business book. One of the best examples that I frequently use, since I came from a risk management discipline, is FIRM. No, I don't know if you remember this. This comes from ISO 31000. FIRM means financial, infrastructure, reputational, and marketplace. The reason why I like FIRM is from my office days. This is basically 100% of anything the boss wanted to talk about. But pero from time to time, it changes. No? The bosses are worried about money, and money can be revenue, cost, losses, or capital. If you come from an accounting background, you'll know that by heart. It can be infra. Infra is not just machines. It's basically your ability to produce results. So yung processes, quality, productivity, asset management. It can be reputational, meaning marketing, your brand, if there's a scandal, crisis management. There's this emerging term called ESG, environmental, social, and governance, which is also a brand issue. And then marketplace. So marketplace is different from marketing. Marketplace is actually closer to sales. No? How to acquire customers, how to retain them. Are we pricing properly? Are we developing better products? So in any company, even NGOs, kind of think of it this way. Hindi lang sila for profit, but they definitely need to raise money from grants, and they need to be efficient about their operations. So for me, when I first encountered firms, I used to teach, actually I still do, but not as much. I used to teach enterprise risk management. This is one of the best frameworks. So if you're armed with firm and you're armed with these 4, what do? You talk to the ChatGPT. Can you give me ideas on how I can apply data visualization for finance, or data visualization for reputation management, or computer vision for infrastructure? Diba? That should give you a thought starter. So you now have a framework where you can start. This is great for planning. This is great for strategy. And I already did that as an example. No? You don't have to read everything here. No? And maybe just take a screenshot or as a video later. No? If you have AI and you have a framework and you have technologies, generating all of these ideas is just one click. No? Now the question is, once you've generated the ideas, where do you go? So the only thing missing here, there's 2 things missing here. One is the operational plan. How do you, kunyari, let's do a bingo. Infrastructure and NLP. Analyze text data from customer complaints or feedback to identify common issues and improve productivity by addressing recurring problems in infrastructure services. So it's a very high level strategy. Now you need to generate the operational plan. And then maybe you now need to translate it to whatever industry you're working for. Are you in a bank? Are you in a telco? Diba?
Mm-hmm.
Pero I can tell you this looks pretty straightforward, but in companies they really struggle with this. Either because they're too busy, or they're not exposed they're exposed kasi too much to the day to day. It takes a different type of parang brain space and environment to just sit back and start thinking out loud. What can we do to come up with use cases for technologies? Out of curiosity, you might be interested to hear. This is similar, not exactly like this, but this is similar to a process that we use in my companies. This is the process we use to come up with Project ADs. This is the process we use to come up with Project Sparta. This is the process we used to win the NASA challenge 3 times. No? People don't remember that anymore. Hindi naman a matter of flexing, but you can be really productive doing this. And especially if you're armed now with data. Kasi dati, before AI, we had analytics, we had databases. But even more so now that you don't even need a database. You can just use AI to generate that data for you. And then AI can automate the action. Give me a learning plan, give me an operational plan, give me images. I mean, I'd be surprised if you couldn't come up with a PowerPoint presentation. You don't even need to use PowerPoint anymore. There's actually an AI that creates slides for you. So if you need to sell the idea to a colleague, to your boss, to an investor, there's no excuse not to do it. Is my point. All right, sige, looking forward na ngayon. So before we jump to Q&A, as I'm sure you have a lot of questions, hopefully, can I ask, anyway, those who want to get a copy of the slides, you know what to do. Bit.ly AI for Lunch tools. Please give me as much feedback as you humanly can and indicate your email para I can send it to you. I'm sure you'll find this slide deck useful. And then we are now done with 3 out of the 4 topics. So yung huli na lang is art, copyright, and education. Pretty much the loser from LinkedIn and Twitter. But I think it's the most interesting sa totoo lang. Kasi this deals with kind of the near-term problems we're encountering now. Like students cheating on essays, artists getting ripped off. We need to talk about that and what does it mean, to live in a world where copyright is kind of so fluid. Hopefully you've already subscribed to YouTube. I've been doing as of now 4 webinars, and it looks like from the trend we won't stop at episode 4. There'll be more. And
Nice.
I got
That's
some
nice.
suggestions from people to include a guest. So tama-tama, after next episode, I'll be done with the preliminary material. I encourage you to look back and see the other discussions we've had on jobs, on ethics, the general discussion in episode 0. And then just kicking it up a notch. Maybe you or your company need a more targeted briefing, which I'm happy to provide. No, we can just talk about it separately. I
Mhm.
just did one yesterday in Globe Telecom. It went very well. Their CEO was there, Mr. Ernest Wu. I love the crowd at Globe. Quite youthful, energetic, very techy. They're kind of like probably our version of Google or Apple. And I'm happy to see companies like that. Kasi nga, the vast majority of companies I meet talagang really backward. And it's because we're really at the tail end of innovation. And my mission is really to bring everyone up to speed. I've also been appearing in the media. These are completely sila ang nagyaya, no? And sana magyaya pa sila. Love Aniver was a blast. I hope I make it in another episode. No? And then this is an early announcement. Pero since you're in the webinar, you're the first to hear. So my company, Zerolytics, so my initiative to do these webinars is on a personal basis. But my company will be launching, a pioneering program to basically help companies design use cases for AI. So anyway, if you want early dibs on that material, just email them at support@zerolytics.com. The idea here is if you have a design process, you want to launch a product, you want to do a business strategy, you want to do a new startup, how can AI help you? Actually, some of the discussions I had in this webinar were from the workshop materials. So if you're curious about that, please contact them. And then this is my customary invitation. Please follow me on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, basically anywhere you want to be. And I also have been uploading videos on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. So please check it out. And now we go to the Q&A.
Okay.
Somebody's asking for evaluation link forms. Teka lang, I'm just gonna paste it here on the bottom. But in the meantime, does anyone have questions? Ito, may tanong si Josh. Do you know of any platform or university which offers a comprehensive AI curriculum? No. Okay, sige. To be very honest, most of the university programs, I can think of two right now. There's one in UP, and of course you have the MSDS type courses, AIM, De La Salle, UST just launched one. Then there's the Ateneo, it's more of data engineering, I think. And then you have UANP, which I co-authored, that's more business analytics. Usually, well, number one, they're not necessarily, with the exception of UP, they're really tailored for business analytics, not really AI. But they do talk about AI as a technology, but not the technology. So I think it's early days for the university courses about AI. So if you take them, you'll probably be trained to become a builder of AI. But to my knowledge, no one is teaching people how to be a user of AI, which I think is the name of the game now. No? And to be honest, there's a far bigger population of people who are in non-data jobs, like marketing people, finance people, operations people, HR people, who could immediately benefit from AI. So I'm pasting the form link here. Bit.ly AI for lunch tools. Please click that. Sige, anyone else? Any question? I had a few questions from the registration. What are AI tools for image and video? Then let's use AI to ask. So I mentioned kanina, lima na, no? There was Midjourney, there was DALL-E, there was Stable Diffusion, there was Crayon, and there was Dream Studio, no? Tingnan natin kung may nakalista dito sa ano. Is there an AI for that? Is there an AI for that? Yeah, kaya magandang to have that link kasi nga if you're searching for a tool, ayaw na. Ito na. If you're searching for a tool that particularly for a particular task, and you should just use those search engines, no, to figure it out. Okay, while that's loading, let's tackle another question. Faster, cheaper way to stitch drone images and georeference GPS heat maps. Top of my mind, I don't know if there's a tool, pero mamaya let's search it also is there an AI for that? AI for education, well, you saw already Learning Studio earlier. I think there could be more. And basically, it's there to automate, and Consensus for research. I think these are tip of the iceberg. I'm sure there will be AI embedded into LMS eventually, learning management systems. So yun yung interesting. Okay, there is a question here from Jogar. Is there a plan to include an AI-focused pathway under Sparta? Well, Sparta is I'm no longer in the planning committee of Sparta. No? From what I understand, yung Sparta, as it stands now, that's pretty much it. But there may be a new AI curriculum created by either DAP or DOST. Certainly AAP is also interested in it, but it's still early days. So baka mauna pa nga ako as Doc Ligo to launch one. So that's as far as Sparta is concerned. From my understanding, wala.
AI for
Josh,
education.
in the four main areas of AI, RPA, NLP, which one falls into generative? All of them can fall into generative. So yung kanina, let's jump back to that slide. These are practice areas. Now, whether you use generative or discriminative AI, you can use both. Like for example, a chatbot. You can use a chatbot in a generative manner to answer questions, but you can also use chatbot to evaluate yung kausap mo. So kukunin niya yung mga answers and also come up with a score. So you can be both generative and discriminative AI. Same then with computer vision. You can use computer vision to generate new pictures of anything, not just the fun stuff like cats and dogs, but you can also use it to generate, for example, one area in risk management, for example, that's under service is creating synthetic data. Kasi nga, the issue is privacy, diba? You can't compromise private information. So what you do is you let an AI generate fake examples of clients or fake examples of situations which have the same distribution as the original data, pero you cannot identify who the person is. So that concept is called differential privacy. I might talk about that in another webinar. But I think that's a good way of getting around this problem between privacy practitioners and analytics. Sila usually yung kaaway. O si Agile Geek, merong AI Cyclopedia, GPTE AI, and FutureAILab.com. Ano yan? Are these like mga listahan of mga AI tools then like I showed earlier na ayaw na mag-load for some reason. Anyway, sige. Let's go to the next question. I think we had a couple of ones. Okay. Based on the current proven abilities of all AI, what has the most potential to help the human race? I don't know. I can't speak for the human race, but as far as I'm concerned, for me and people I work with, AI has already impacted our ability to plan, impacted our ability to create content, impacted our ability to create ideas and products for customers and clients. And for me, that's really the source of innovation. If you can ideate efficiently, kasi ang dami ng tao who can execute sa totoo lang. If you go around, there are many vendors who teach, who do implementation. The bottleneck, as I see it, is always people don't know what they want to do. It's not because they really don't know, but maybe they're too busy. And I think AI can really crack that bottle and let the genie out. Now, the other part is how do you protect a society from bad ideas? And I think AI is also the tool for that. We have a comment here. Okay, Dean. Of these 4 AI practice areas, I think natural language processing holds the greatest potential. In particular, to alleviate the abysmal state of education, I will really use that word, Dean. Abysmal talaga. To segue lang. I made this comment when I spoke to the Canadian Chamber just recently. If you think of schools as having 2 functions, knowledge production and labor production. Produce more workers and produce knowledge. Bokya na pareho eh. And I'm also speaking as a member of the academia. No? On the labor production, students are cheating their way through essays. Let's call a spade a spade. No? Kahit na iban mo yan, hindi. Kasi students already use other students to cheat their way. There's a black market of people doing essays. People are willing to pay. The reason for that is school is no longer a place to learn. It's a place to just get a diploma because it's required to get a job. So it's a very compliance-driven culture for both the teacher and the student.
Okay.
And it's been that way for nearly probably a century. It's going to be hard to undo that. So sa labor production, bokya na. And the other half pa is, if you really want to make money agad, you can already do that even without a diploma. If you do web development, content creation, if you do freelancing, copywriting, a lot of those skills can be learned outside the classroom, or even AI can teach you that. So ano na yung role ng school sa labor production? Diba? Diminished. Then on the knowledge production, we can't produce research fast enough, and the quality of the research can use some help. And it's because PhDs and professors are too busy doing admin to do papers. Pero pagdating naman sa papers, they're also graded on where do you publish, how many papers do you produce, what's your H-index, mga ganyang bagay. Fortunately, I'm not a professor, so I don't have that pressure. But we do publish research. But for me, I already told my team, I don't really care about H-index. I don't care about Scopus journals. I don't care about state of the art. I care about sharing ideas. So this webinar series could have been a paper, pero I'd rather just put it on YouTube so people can learn from it. Because that's me. I'm not pressured as much as they are. But we really need our professors to be assisted in that domain. Otherwise, wala, bokya ulit. So that's a problem, abysmal. So what we are looking at is a ChatGPT basically an agent that is potentially present in the pocket of any Filipino. Tama, that's a good idea. And the dialects, there's actually a company that I was really looking forward to hear from, si Senti, no? Si Ralph Regalado. This is their business from day one. Maybe they're working on something, but we now need to create like a localized chat GPT, whatever it takes. We cannot underestimate the huge potential popularizing this technology among students. It's like the second coming of the Thomasites. Oo nga naman, si Thomas Aquinas, no? The original researcher. So I think it's also connected to digital divide. So people who are not accessing the internet, medyo we have to do something about that. Si Josh, we're heavy users of RPA along with digital transformation using Microsoft. So see Microsoft, because they are partnered with OpenAI, I'm really looking forward to their output. What they can do is actually bring AI directly into enterprise. No? Kasi nga, marami na mga enterprises already on Azure. Pero syempre, that will deal with the big companies. For the smaller companies, for the startups, you can be more flexible. Kasi nga, cost is an issue. And I'm telling you, all of the tools I used earlier, with a few exceptions, either cost so small or are free. So bakit? Yeah, thanks, Josh. Bing speaks Tagalog. Yeah, tama naman. Okay, sige. I think we're past time na. No? I'll just brush through some of the last few questions and then we can call it a day. I hope this format works better. No? Hindi tayo ganun kagahol sa Friday. What do you think are the priority sectors that needs AI in our country? Everything. If I were to select education, number 1. Number 2, transportation. And maybe number 3 would be economic planning. It's just
Economic
I don't want to say
planning.
anything here. That might torpedo my podcast, no. But it seems like we can do much better in terms of planning, and you can see already AI can help with that. So I hope we bring it there. Transportation is a data problem. Sa totoo lang. Why are we not measuring volume of cars? Why are we not measuring traffic? You have apps like Waze that have already showed you how to do that. Why aren't we doing that? Maybe they're doing that, but it doesn't seem like it's translating into anything. So I think transport, and yun, ginawa agad ng tao yun eh. You already have bikers attacking SUVs because of how bad the traffic is. The whole problem isn't bikes or SUVs. The problem is mass transport. Ang problema yun na. Okay. Oh, may 404 with the link. Let me check if the link is up or down. Bitly AI for lunch tools. Kanina gumagana. Ito na lang. I'll paste the raw link here. Yan.
Okay.
The original link is yeah. You have to. It's tawag dito case sensitive, unfortunately. So capital AI, number 4, capital L lunch, and then capital T tools. Yeah, that should work. Okay, a few more questions. Sana you're not bored yet. Some of the questions are interesting. What do you think is the current maturity level of Philippine organizations? 0, no, mga 1, because I think by and large, most people have heard of AI. Like I'm sure most of you have, but I'm sure most of you have not seen, with a few exceptions, how far AI could go. Kasi nga, sanay tayo treating AI as this esoteric technology that you need PhDs to run. Not anymore. Anyone can do it. Yun nga lang, it's just the guts to try it out. No? And make sure you're also balancing the privacy aspect of it. What are the risks of using AI in finance, such as credit scoring and fraud prevention? I don't see necessarily any risks. It's really more about what part of the finance, process you put it in. I think, kunyari banking. Oh, look, one of the biggest problems, I worked in banking for more than a decade, is the underserved banking market. And the reason for that is banks can't quantify their credit risk kasi kulangan ng data. That's pretty much a good use case for AI. No? You can use AI to gather data, generate synthetic data, and look for new ways to structure products. Hirap na hirap talaga yung mga banko with that kasi nga they're stuck with traditional structured data systems. No? Okay, nice. Okay, here's the last one. Cybersecurity risks. Well, number 1, make sure that you're using an AI tool that's vetted, lalo na if it's the lesser known ones. Baka it's a phishing tool pala by a hacker. That's number one. Number two, don't input AI into any AI tool unless you're absolutely sure about it. Any information that you wouldn't want to get leaked. So that's why I keep my queries relatively at the common noun level. Wag niyong gayahin si Samsung. The engineers put in proprietary code, proprietary data, and then yun na nag-leak na siya. But according to OpenAI, they were able to fix that problem. So according to them, whatever you put in your chat, even if it's live, will only be visible by you unless you share the link.
Yeah.
All right. So that's it. So we did prompting. We looked at a lot of cool tools. I hope you found them nice. And then I gave you a thought process for use cases in business. And hopefully you share this and follow me on social media. So that's it, episode 3. So we will do the next episode next Saturday ulit.
Yeah.
So make a note of it.
Saturday.
In the meantime, thank you very
Great
much.
day.
Oh, si Agile Geek. I-plug
Maybe
natin.
I'll
I've curated a lot of AI resources. Here's a link.
sometime.
Yeah, tingnan nga natin. So I love that the community is very very enthusiastic about sharing materials, no. So ayan, dami. Okay, Agile Geek. Sige, so please follow Agile Geek then, no, on Facebook. We have a group actually on Facebook. In the meantime, sige, thank you very much. And that's been episode 3. I'll see you next Saturday. In the meantime, have a good weekend. And
Yeah.
use AI for good. Thank you very much.
Nice. So, like what Doc said, use AI for good. Yes. And this was a nice stream. And we'll do this again. And do subscribe to my channel at youtube.com at QatarHall 5. And that's it. Just continue to like and comment on the videos. Share it if you like. Yeah, I'm out of here.